Hi,
Okay, how are you?
how are you?
All right. I'm gonna pause this recording. Okay, so I think everyone can see, we just asked a quick question about whether or not visited Southern Illinois. So you should be able to see the results. So 75% of the folks on the call right now have visited, which is great.
Great.
Very cool.
Close that and just want to jump back. Molly or Katie, confirm you can still see the welcome screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so I'm Dave Simmons, Executive Director of Ride Illinois, and welcome to this session on cycling in Southern Illinois. I'm just going to say a few words about Ride Illinois and then turn things over to our presenters. If you've been on our webinars in the past, you've seen this slide, but just a quick overview of Ride Illinois and what we're trying, have been actually not trying to do, but have been doing since 1992. Focusing on bike-friendly roads, trails, legislation, education. And I added the one recently, sharing our love of cycling with others, because it is part of what we want to do is just reach folks of all ages and abilities and get them excited about biking for recreation and transportation. We are a mighty staff of 3. So I'm on the left. We've got Gina, Kenny, our communication projects coordinator in the middle, and then many folks know Ed Barsati, who's been in the executive director role for it was about 20 years up until last October. Ed is still with Ride Illinois and focusing on infrastructure and bike plans and the things he likes to do, which gives me the opportunity then to take a job in something that I do really enjoy. Quick note about some of our corporate members. This is a newer program, so we do hope to add some other members over time and build a relationship with some businesses across the state. So currently we've got these 4. And then our bike safety quiz. So I want to mention that. Also mention real quickly, we've got some digital ads running on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And they're all promoting bike safety quiz. The goal of the ads, which are funded by IDOT, are to reduce crashes and then educate cyclists and motorists about how to avoid common crashes. Let me tell you, there have been some very colorful comments. Never had to hide comments and ban people before, but it's one of those touchy topics. So if nothing else, the ads as of earlier this week had reached over 1 million impressions on social media. So they're definitely being shared, and yeah, it's been enlightening. But all that to say, our bike safety quiz has been around since 2013. That's had well over 100,000 uses right now. So if you've taken it before, now's a great time to take it again. If you've not taken it, please do. And also share this as well. There's adult cyclist, child cyclist, motorist, and truck driver modules. And I guarantee you'll learn something by taking the quiz. Ways you can support Ride Illinois. I'm not going to go through all the bullet points, but we want you to ride for sure. We want you to share information about our organization with others. Mention bike safety quiz. We have a social media presence as well. And if you like what we do, become a member or donate. We certainly would love to invite you into the Ride Illinois family. And lastly, just some ground rules for the webinar. There's a couple different ways, actually multiple ways you can communicate with our panelists. If you have a question, go ahead and use the Q&A tab. You can also put questions in the chat tab. I'll be monitoring both of those, so Molly and Katie don't need to keep an eye on that, and I'll interrupt when time's appropriate. There's also the ability to raise hands. Probably just keep that till the end of the presentation. Might be a way we can the appropriate time for people to speak instead of typing things out. And we do want this to be, just a break from COVID-19 news overload. So take a mental trip in Southern Illinois. And we will be posting this link on our website. We have a webinars page, and there's recordings to all of our other webinars on that as well. So if you're looking for some information or just something kind of entertaining, you can view rideillinois.org/events/webinars. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Molly and Katie, and if you guys wouldn't mind starting with an introduction, that'd be great.
Go ahead, Molly.
All right. Hi, I'm Molly Maxwell. I have lived in Southern Illinois for about 5 years now. I actually came down here for grad school at SIU and studied recreation administration. And during that time, I really fell in love with the area, and so ended up staying post grad school. And I am now a city planner for the city of Carbondale. And one of my main focuses in that job is planning for bike infrastructure and basically all things biking in Carbondale.
Okay, hi, my name is Katie Ancell. I was raised in Southern Illinois and moved away for quite a few years for college and 10 years post-college, and recently moved back. I got my PhD at SIU and then have stayed here and now have a family here myself. And I'm an avid cyclist. I'm involved in a local bike club. And yeah, you know, I'm interested in bringing cyclists together. I think there's a lot of cyclists in Southern Illinois, and I know from when we started our bike club, we realized they were just kind of doing their own thing. So it's been great to meet so many people who share the same passion.
Thank you. So I'm going to go on mute and keep an eye on those couple windows, and you guys can take it from here.
All right, Molly, I'll go let you start.
All right, so we sort of made this presentation with the assumption that most people watching it are coming from the Chicago area. So we kind of laid it out so as if you're taking a trip down to Carbondale from Chicago and hopefully staying for a few days and biking all around the area. So actually when Dave came and visited in February, he rode the Amtrak from Chicago to Carbondale and just brought his bike and then was able to travel around Carbondale for the few days that he was here by bike. So he can, Dave, you can definitely interject if you have any extra information, but I basically have the two trains that go between Carbondale and Chicago. One leaves each one in the morning and one leaves each one in the afternoon. So that gives you plenty of opportunity to take the train. And Dave, I know you were able to bring your bike on. Do they do an extra charge for that, or
yeah, it was, I think it was $62 round trip for the ticket, and then $10 each way for a bike. So $82 round trip, pretty reasonable.
Okay, definitely cheaper than flying with it for sure. And then if you just want to drive and be able to have your car down here, then it takes about 5.5 hours, and that's a pretty straightforward drive. So.
Okay.
And then, so biking in Carbondale, we thought that if you come down and, you know, want to bike all over Southern Illinois, Carbondale is a great sort of base camp for your stay. It's in the middle of Southern Illinois. It's one of the more urban areas, still a pretty, you know, relatively small town, but one of the more urban areas in Southern Illinois, with lots of opportunities for places to sleep and eat and all of that. And if you're coming just by bike, the town is relatively easy to travel around by bike as well. And it's something that we're constantly working on improving. That's a big part of my job, actually, is, you know, planning bike routes and making sure that, you know, we're always keeping biking as a mode of transportation in mind as we're doing developments. So you can see that by this bike map that I've shared here, and there's also a link to that. So I'm hoping that after this presentation, when it's posted up on the website, that folks will be able to use these links, because I have a lot of links in here. But So if not, you can just search Carbondale bike map, and that shows all of the bikeways, bike paths, bike lanes all throughout Carbondale.
And Molly, just real quick, we could post a PDF of the presentation on that webinar page as well, so folks can get to these links.
Cool, awesome, because we've got a lot of links to routes and stuff as well, so that'll be great. Yeah, so, you know, just staying in Carbondale, you can really easily navigate through town just by bike. We are a bronze level bike friendly community through the American League of Bicyclists, and SIU, Southern Illinois University, which is in Carbondale, is also a bronze level bike friendly campus. And so that just kind of goes to show that both of these entities are intentionally making decisions to, you know, make the community as bike friendly as possible. And another shout out to Ride Illinois as well. Ride Illinois has worked with Carbondale for several years on helping to improve our bike infrastructure. They created our bike plan in 2016, and as we were talking about earlier, Dave came and visited back in February and did a meet and greet with lots of cyclists. So yeah, another shout out to Ride Illinois. We also have 3 bike shops in Carbondale. So if you're having any issues with your bike, or, you know, just need some new gear, there's 3 bike shops. They're all right within the same block of each other. And really the way that they're all able to sustain and survive is that they all have something different to offer. So, you know, chances are if one of them doesn't have what you need, one of the other ones will. We also usually, most years, this year obviously is different, but most years we make a really big deal out of Bike Month. We host several group rides and different events throughout the month. So if you want to come during May, then, you know, keep an eye out for that next year. Let's see. Another great thing about biking in Carbondale is that while we are a pretty urban area, you can get into the country really quickly and just get like a great country road ride in just from town, you know, whether it's a 15-mile ride or a 60-mile ride, whatever you want to do. So I have a link for one of those shorter, simpler rides right there on the slide. And another thing about biking in Carbondale, just from a personal observation, is that it's just a great town to bike in. I live on the very western side of town, and I can still bike to work in, you know, 10 minutes. I can bike to the grocery store, bike to the farmer's market, and that all is pretty easy. So it's just a great town to maneuver by bicycle in, and always working to make it better. Next slide. So I mentioned a little bit that there's plenty of places to eat in Carbondale. Our restaurant scene is really good, and it's been improving substantially over the past couple of years. There's a restaurant called Keeper's Quarters, which is sort of locally sourced Americana, is how I would describe it. More and more of the restaurants are really, well, I mean, maybe they've been this way for longer, and I just have noticed it more recently. Like I say, I've only been here for about 5 years, but they really focus on locally sourced food and, you know, farm to table, stuff like that. So that's really great. Great Thai restaurant, Thai taste, El Paisano if you're wanting excellent tacos. A brand new brewery that just opened up right before COVID-19, and we actually had our meet and greet there, is Buckwater Brewery. So they should be, I imagine, starting to brew within the next couple months. But Then other places to eat that aren't necessarily in Carbondale, but they're more out in the country and also great places to ride to. Scratch Brewery is in Ava. It's really a world-renowned brewery. Yes, definitely rehydrate after your rides and during. But Scratch Brewery, they grow a lot of their own ingredients and forage for them and win, awards and stuff all over for their beer. Ava's a tiny little place. It's definitely like a trip just to go out to Scratch on its own. It's like a whole day just on its own. Iron Whisk in Cobden is another pretty new place that I haven't been to yet, but hear tons of accolades about. They do brunch and lunch and maybe dinner. I don't know, but I just always see pictures of like Dutch babies that look amazing there. And then more tacos. Little House of Tacos in Cobden is amazing. Just like a little like hole in the wall kind of place, but great food. If you're looking for a place to sleep in Carbondale, there's several options. In the town itself, you have your standard Hampton Inn, Home 2 Suites, which is right downtown, which is really nice, pretty new as well. The Best Western and the Holiday Inn. So you have your chain hotels. There's also a really cool looking bed and breakfast called the Train Inn. I have never had to lodge myself in Carbondale since I've lived here, so I can't speak from personal experience to any of these, but if anybody has heard anything, you're welcome to comment. And then out of town cabins, I have not stayed in any of these either, but ride by them all the time on my bike and they just look awesome. The Rocky Comfort cabins, they have these little like hobbit cabins that are kind of underground looking and they look amazing. The Timber Ridge Outpost is on the very eastern side of the state, and close to the end of the River to River Trail. So if you're interested in backpacking the River to River Trail, then that would be a good spot to begin or end your trip. And then the Skyline View cabins, I
added those. They're right outside of the pass. Yeah, sorry, I added two.
No, thank you.
There's tons of cabins, and everyone knows how to use Airbnb or just search. We couldn't make an exhaustive list. Every winery has little cabins, and people have little guest houses. But the Skyline View cabins are gorgeous, literally right on a ridge, right outside of the town of Alto Pass, which has lots of great rural cycling around it. It's kind of down nearby Cobden and close to some rides that we'll share later. So that's also a great option. But like Molly said, I mean, there's no way to make an extensive list. There's so many wineries down here, and a lot of them have cabins associated with them. So a quick Google search will set you up with lots of different places. There's an old school that they've turned into like a B&B. So lots of good country options.
Cool. And then I also linked Southern Illinois tourism on the bottom of that slide. They seem to have a good list of a lot of these places as well.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about just basically some rides that you can do. So there's lots of organized rides. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but I tried to kind of give, one or two throughout the traditional cycling calendar. So first, starting in March, the Dirty South Rue Bay is a gravel ride. Started, actually, some friends of mine, we used to just ride this route like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's now grown. I think Sean had 350 people sign up this past year. He had to cap it. It starts in the town of Alto Pass. And El Paso is a town of about, a couple hundred. So we like doubled the size of the town when we were there that day. But you can sign up through bike sign up, and it does get full. There's a 100K and a 50K option. And it's, like I said, a great race. The Beautiful Southern Ride is in early April traditionally. I could only find it as an event on Facebook, not necessarily as a page, and it's put on by the Rotary Club and another local bike club down here, and their routes are spectacular. They have 30, 60, and 100 mile available. So if you are coming in April, you can check that out. Tour de Stooges, I just added their website. I also didn't realize they had a website. I found them on Facebook. They are in Lebanon, so a little bit farther away from Carbondale, but still considered Southern Illinois. It's a great ride. The Superman ride is in Metropolis, Illinois, so even farther south than Carbondale. It's in June. The Southern Illinois Rail Ride, so not to be confused with the other rail rides that are done in Illinois, but this is a ride actually that my bike club just kind of put together. Again, it started as something that we just did for fun, and then we opened it up to additional people who wanted to do it, and we ride the Illinois portion of the Transamerica route, which is 135 miles. We do have a Facebook link, our page, and I'll share that later on in the presentation. And then I also just shared the route on the next slide too as a Garmin route.
If I could jump in real quick, so just some chat. Let's see, Troy mentioned the Beautiful Southern Ride has moved to October, and then Jeff was asking if these rides are happening. Yeah, a lot of rides are being canceled or postponed. George, could you put in the chat current status of Tour de Stooges? I think you guys tried to reschedule, but what else do you know, Katie or Molly, about some of these?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of them are, the ones later on in the summer are kind of on hold. Yes, the Beautiful Southern Ride was canceled, and it's traditionally in early April. So, and
I think the Dirty South was like the last event that happened before the shutdown.
And the ones in October, I haven't heard. I assume they will go on, but I don't know for sure. Did George give an update on the Stooges?
No, but I was going to look it up real quick and see if I could find something on it.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll just go
canceled for 2020.
It's what?
Canceled for 20. Yeah.
Canceled, yeah.
George, virtual, right? All right.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of them, I'm not sure if they're going to be happening this year, but next year for planning. So these next couple slides are really just Garmin routes. So you can more of just a resource for you. So again, like Molly said, I hope this is linkable. These are all Garmin routes that I have done, and most of them have easy start and stop points. That's kind of the thing when you go somewhere new. Of course, everyone's like, oh, there's great riding, but unless you're a local, it's hard to know. So all of these are, most of these are start and stop points from wineries, which if you're coming down with someone who's not a cyclist, or, you just also want to do something other than cycle, these are great options. So I tried to include, things, everything from 25 miles all the way up to the Dirty South 100K. Those are all gravel rides, like I said. Next are some road rides. So here's the Garmin link to the Beautiful Southern 60-mile ride. Again, I think this is one of the most beautiful routes. It goes through Giant City State Park as well as the Shawnee National Forest. The next one is Blue Sky to Alto Vineyard, and it passes through another winery. So bring room for bottles or take your time. Next is the Transamerica Illinois portion. So again, this is the route that I mentioned on the couple slides previous. It's a point-to-point ride though. So it starts at Cave and Rock, where Molly shared those cabins, kind of the very eastern side. And then it ends at the St. Nicholas Brewing Company in Chester, where there is beer and food and run by bike-friendly people. And then the next one is kind of a less hilly option. So it starts at Grassy Lake and it goes through lots of park, kind of less hilly than some other rides, because you will definitely get some elevation down here. Illinois is not flat here. Molly, do you want to talk about mountain biking?
Yeah, I can do that. So there are several mountain biking options down here as well. Not many like official mountain bike trails, and the like Katie was saying about the gravel rides, mountain biking is kind of the same. It's a lot more beneficial to have somebody there with you that knows where to go, because they aren't really official trails for the most part. And mountain bikers in the area have been working for a long time to themselves as a group, so that's something that's improving too. But I do have a few links here to some of the places that people like to ride. Lake Kincaid is a pretty technical, difficult trail. It's about 3.5 miles out and back, so the full distance is 7 miles. And when it doesn't sound like that much, but I haven't actually ridden out there myself, but most of the people that do ride out there, it seems like you get a good workout just from that 3.5 miles. A place that I have ridden more recently is Cove Hollow at Cedar Lake. It's also pretty tricky. I had to do some hike-a-bike there, but if you're a seasoned mountain biker looking for lots of rocks and stuff to climb over, then that's a good spot for you. Another place where another place where they're working on getting more access and improving the trails as well. Lake Glendale has some more easygoing trails, but that's really a place, a lot of the trails are not marked. So I have a link. These are all Google Map codes that you can just type into Google Maps, and it'll get you to basically the trailhead that I left there. And then Touch of Nature Environmental Center, full disclosure, this is what I worked on in grad school, so I know more about these trails than maybe some of the other ones. But this is a project that is currently being built. The trails aren't open right now, but they've actually got some professionals out there right now building the trails. So there's a conceptual plan for 30 miles of trails. We're thinking by the end of this year, there will be 7 to 10 miles of various difficulty levels. So, the idea is to have something more to offer beginner riders and intermediate and stuff like that. Also working on planning a pump track, a kids pump track out there. So if you want to keep tabs on that project, then the Facebook link is right there as well.
I just interject real quick. Bethany shared so the double helix series rides. I don't know if Molly or Katie, if either of you are familiar with that.
Okay.
White Pelican in Ogle County is responding with an innovative idea. People can register for a ride, and the fee gets the participant a gift card to a local vendor or a restaurant. So the money goes right back to the community. People ride individually, and routes are provided after one registers.
Oh, that's cool. What a great idea.
Yeah. Thanks, Beth.
Can you share the link with that with everybody, or?
Oh yeah. Bethany, if you have a link, otherwise, yeah, we can look it up, but see if you can find it. Oh, thank you. She'll get it.
Sounds good.
Oh, I saw Ed's question too. Are the gravel rides suitable for narrow tire hybrid bikes? Most of those, with the exception of the Dirty South route, I would say are. And there's kind of a mix of gravel and road, so it's not necessarily all gravel. So I would say all of those like winery rides, ones that say start at Blue Sky, start at Alto Pass, So yeah, 30 miles from Blue Sky, 50 miles from Blue Sky, 26 miles from Owl Creek. Tunnel Hill would be okay also, but probably not the dirty south ones, because the others are kind of, yeah, a mix of just some rough country roads along with some gravel. So a hybrid would be perfect.
Can I ask, with those Garmin routes, Katie, do you have to have an account to access those, or?
Yeah, so you would have to have a Garmin Connect account, which is free. You can, connect to it, and if you access it through the app, it pulls up a map. And even if you don't necessarily have a Garmin device, I guess, then at least you could kind of see the map and match it up to, you could look at it on Strava or something like that too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I think you can even have it give you turn by turn directions
on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, I have a Garmin device, but and it gives you turn by turn. But yeah, I think probably the app on your phone would allow you to do that also.
Cool. Thanks, Bethany. So bike packing and touring. This is something that I've been getting really into the past couple of years. And all of Southern Illinois is just really great for it. One thing is the Shawnee National Forest is kind of spread out all over Southern Illinois. And we've mentioned the River to River Trail and the River to River Relay Run a couple times. So those are kind of, those are both routes that go across Southern Illinois and go through a bunch of the forest. You wouldn't want to travel by bike on the River to River Trail because it does go through several wilderness areas, but you can probably hop onto the trail in some parts if you're just making sure that you're staying out of those wilderness areas. But if you look at this map, the green areas are all Shawnee National Forest. Well, I guess I think the entire brown section is all Shawnee National Forest. And there's the little towns that we've mentioned, some that are kind of scattered throughout there as well. A kind of smaller route that I've done a couple times is just going from Carbondale and riding down to Cedar Lake and camping there for a night or two and riding around in that area. But really the possibilities are endless. So if you take some of the routes that Katie shared and kind of pair those with some of the B&Bs and stuff like that, you can really create an awesome route. And camping as well, there's the Shawnee National Forest is open to camping. So you don't have to go to a campground necessarily, although there are lots of campgrounds throughout the forest as well. And there's definitely more information than I can give just on the Shawnee National Forest website. So you can go there. Another great resource that I just thought of is the Shawnee National Forest Facebook page. It's not the official one that goes through, that's managed by the forest, but it's just called Shawnee National Forest, I think. And I see tourists and visitors of the area posting questions there all the time, and they always get answered. So if you're kind of trying to build a trip for yourself, then that's a great resource as well.
Okay. All right, so we thought it'd be fun to share kind of our favorite rides. So, again, I know we've shared lots of routes, and again, this is a Garmin route, but this is another winery. I guess I have, obviously, something I like to do is bike and drink wine. So this starts and ends at Hickory Ridge Winery, which the route is only 22 miles, but it is grueling. So this tiny little winery is just so cute. This is a picture of it from the road. They don't have food, but they have great wine, and you can bring your own. The people that run it are so nice. The route's paved, but the roads are rough in some spots, and there's some rough water crossings at the bottom of hills. So hybrid bike would be great. Even a gravel bike would be fine. I've will ride it on my road bike, but it's rough. So yeah, bring a picnic to enjoy at the end of your ride. And there's the Garmin route. And then here's Molly's favorite.
I had a really hard time deciding on one, so I just had to pick one. This is probably what I've just ridden the most since I've gotten into off-road and gravel riding too, but it's the Dirty South route, the Dirty South Roubaix route that Katie shared earlier, and it's cool because it's kind of a figure-8 shape. So you can do a 30-mile loop, or you can do a 60-mile loop. You can do either one of the 30-mile loops. But Alto Pass is sort of the center of all of that. So that would be the best place to start and end your trip probably. But I've done the northern loop a bunch more, and that one is cool because you're kind of still up in the hilly areas to begin, and then you climb up to LaRue Pine Hills and get this beautiful view of the Mississippi River Valley when you're up there, and then you kind of drop back down into the valley, and so that's a really fun descent doing that. And it's also a great workout. And then the southern loop is really cool as well. It goes through Trail of Tears State Forest, which is, the couple times that I've been there, has been really peaceful and quiet. You don't really see many other people, and just a really well kept, really beautiful forest.
Yeah, it's a great place to camp too. They have awesome primitive campsites with, some of them have little, 3-walled like lean-tos available, and there's never anyone camping there. So
yeah, I actually did a bike packing trip out there, I think in January, and we were the only people in the whole park. It was really nice, and built a big fire in one of the shelters, so that was really nice. And then for my route, I would end at the taqueria in Cobden, just because tacos are amazing after a big gravel ride.
okay, so the last thing, just a couple other resources that I wanted to share. And again, shameless plug. This is my cycling club, and this brewery is my family's brewery. So in addition to, I talked about the St. Nicholas Landmark earlier. That was the end of the Transamerica portion in Chester. That's the other restaurant. But this one is a little closer to Carbondale. It's about 30 miles away. About 30 miles north of Carbondale, and they brew their own beer, locally sourced food, run by local cyclists. My sister's the GM, decorated with bikes. I shared our bike club website as well, because we update our ride calendar every year too, and so we will link to all of the rides that I talked about previously, and give the specific dates. And then we also do usually weekly or every other week group rides on the weekends, and we oftentimes ride from the St. Nick and DuQuoin to Scratch in Ava. So if you're ever down here and you want to hook up with local cyclists, please reach out to us. Our Gmail email is listed on the website, so seriously check it out. Like, you don't have to be part of the club, just come and join us. And then the last place is another Airbnb that some of my friends run, and so it's just their little extra house next to theirs. They are cyclists, and they're opening up a new winery, and their little spot is pretty far out in the country, but close to some great cycling, and they're on a great gravel ride, so that'd be a good spot too. They're listed on Airbnb. So again, some shameless plugs here at the end, but good resources.
And so someone wants to go riding now. It must be one of your daughters.
Yes. Did you guys hear that? Sorry. Mom.
So we do have some time for questions. You said this was the last slide?
Yep, it's the last slide. So yeah, any questions or comments?
And I have one, so I'll kind of grease the wheels. So What is, what's it like with motorists? I mean, when I was down there, I rode mostly in Carbondale, and everyone was very respectful, had no issues. But, you know, once you get out of the city, what are your encounters with motorists like?
I mean, just like anywhere, good and bad. So, you know, I've had some scary encounters. The other day, someone was passing and, you know, in my lane trying to pass. I think they just didn't see me. It was kind of rainy and getting close to dark. I'd say, you know, 95% of the people give you a super wide berth on the country roads. I live kind of out in the country, and so I mainly ride out in the country. And most people, you know, they're pretty used to seeing bikes on the roads. But having said that, these are country roads and they can be narrow in spots and, you know, not a lot of shoulder. So you have to be aware. I always have a light. But yeah, I'd say, you know, 95% of the time people are pretty cool about it.
Okay. Well, and you have those things called hills, which we don't have up here. So, I mean, that complicates things, right?
That adds to it. Yeah. So, you know, you're coming over a blind hill or someone's trying to pass you and they can't see over the hill. So, you know, you just have to, be aware.
Yeah. What else? I'm going through the chat here. I think everyone's getting hungry. So how do you find good country roads when you're building your routes? Like how country roads in Wisconsin usually have wide shoulders on the busier traffic routes, for example. And I'll throw one resource in there is the IDOT regional bike maps. They do have bicycle level service that it's rated, so that can help find a route as one resource, and you can get those from IDOT. But Katie and Molly, if you have other thoughts.
I mean, mine is mainly just, you know, experience. Like you said, like some of them are worse than others. You know, all of the routes that I shared are pretty either low traffic or have some sort of, you know, shoulder situation that's more favorable. But I'd say, I mean, there's just not a ton of traffic. So that's the great thing.
If someone wanted recommendation, you mentioned your club. I mean, obviously they can join one of your rides.
Yeah, absolutely. Or any of those routes that I posted. So those are all routes that I've ridden. And so, you know, if you were coming down and you wanted to try one of those out, definitely try that out. Inside?
Your daughter can join us.
Thanks.
So
and if you do want somewhere to, you know, just a good starting point too, like the river running relay route. Pretty much every ride that I do or run that I do out, I find myself on part of that route in some point or another. So that's a, you know, kind of a good guideline because you know that they've been using that route for decades as a tried and true, you know, country roads, but still, you know, pretty well kept and everything.
And you can look for the markings on the pavement too.
Yep.
All right, a couple more questions. So places open for camping now, and are there routes good for travel from northern to southern Illinois? Big idea, plans with some training to go. This is
awesome. I think maybe not all of the campgrounds are open right now, but I know we're moving into phase 3, May 29th. So I know that the Shawnee National Forest is open. Most state parks are open right now. However, there's a few that are still closed, but they'll all be open May 29th. And I'm not positive about the camping, but I feel like it's going to be pretty soon if it's not already open. But I would just check, you know, their websites and. But dispersed camping is an option because, like I said, the National Forest is open.
Okay. And then Jake asked how bike accessible are the trails and safe roads from the Carbondale Amtrak. I'm happy to take this one because, so Jake, the Amtrak station is right in the center of town. I don't remember the name of that, the route that parallels the Amtrak station, but there's bike lanes on both roads. I stayed at, I think I was at the kind of away from the older part of town, kind of, you know, where some of the retail areas had built up, and there were bike routes and bike lanes, and then a brand new side path even to get out there. And I think I stayed at that Best Western. So yeah, it was very easy to get around.
And like Molly said, you know, Carbondale is kind of will be your hub. You know, you'll most likely either stay there, or even if you stay at one of these cabins out of town, you'll come into Carbondale to, you know, eat or go to a bar or something. But it's easy to get out of town too. You can easily take a bike lane and get out to more of these country roads that we've been talking about.
And Brenda commented that a friend of hers rode from Chicago to St. Louis to see a concert. So
cool.
There you go. Let's see.
I think Brenda had also asked about routes from north to south.
Oh, right.
I'm not familiar with any, or either of you all.
I'm not. I mean, no, nothing official.
Yeah, nothing too common. Honestly, I would, and someone mentioned Google here as well. So yeah, they're either using the Google satellite view, the IDOT maps, which, you know, there's 9 maps for different regions. You know, it would at least give you some idea. Even Google map routing will, you know, it does take in the, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, in the algorithm, you know, we'll try to route, when you choose cycling direction, they'll try to route you on more favorable roads. But yeah, it's going to be, yeah, old Route 66. Yeah, I don't know of anyone that goes all the way from north to south at this point. And if others do, feel free to enter in the chat.
Yeah, let us know what you end up doing.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions so far. I don't know if you, Katie or Molly, you guys saw any others.
No, I don't think so.
No.
We'll give folks one last opportunity. While we're doing that, I'd like to thank both of you. This is great information. I want to get back now. Not in February, and maybe that's one question. Weather-wise, you know, I've got in-laws in central Missouri, so it's similar latitude, and I know it can get pretty warm and humid in the summertime. But in the same turn, it's less, you know, it's cooler, or sorry, not as cold in the wintertime. So what's your favorite time of year to ride down there?
I mean, I ride all year, but this spring or fall, I'd say, you know, just like anywhere, but our spring comes in February or March, so you don't have to wait until April or May. You know, we've had some really beautiful days in March and April, so.
Well,
but it does get
bike packing in January. So.
What's that?
Molly was bike packing in January. So.
Yeah. Just put some extra layers on and you're good. And we don't really have the snow to contend with here for the most part.
Great.
So.
All right, I think that's it.
So come back and see us, Brenda.
Yeah.
Definitely. Let us know if you head down there, and hopefully as things opening up. There you go. Brenda wants to know what you're doing in October. So
hey, come do the Beautiful Southern Ride. It's one of my favorites. Come for that. I didn't know it was rescheduled for October. Whoever said that, thank you for that information.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, attendees, as well as Katie and Molly. You guys offered quite a bit of information. Sorry, one more question. The Fat Tire Fest in the Shawnee. That's where Brenda's headed. So.
Oh yeah, another good one.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's a great part of the state to bike into, is the eastern part over by Jackson Falls, and
I think
what's the camp?
Is that the town where that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bethany and Brenda, I'll email. So Bethany would like to connect with Brenda. So if you guys are okay with that, I can pull the email addresses out of the registration and send those to each of you. All right.
If anyone comes down, please email my cycling club. Myself or someone else or the president will check the email and just like seriously introduce yourself, and we can like set you up with some group rides or, reshare some Garmin routes or something. So.
Yeah, and we'll get that a PDF of the presentation posted so you guys will have access to all the links. So
and Dave, feel free to post my email address along with that too.
Okay.
Folks can email me too if they need.
Gotcha. All right. Well, again, thanks, Molly. Thanks, Katie. This is very insightful. Makes me want to get out and ride for sure.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Some more folks heading down to Southern Illinois. I do recommend the Amtrak. I know there's going to be some restrictions for a little while. And then Sue, you asked about the presentation links and info. I'll get that up this afternoon, and I'll send an email out to everybody who registered for the presentation. So I think you also get a automated email the next day, like 24 hours later. So. Okay, everyone, it's a holiday weekend. Hopefully it's not too rainy, and hopefully everybody can get out and enjoy it. And Katie, make sure you get whatever your daughter's asking for.
Oh my God.
All right. Thanks,
Sorry.
No problem.